A grizzled lord, a knight of the Rainbow Guard, a ranger of the Night's Watch. Who are the former Bronze Kings of the Vale, and what is their current role in the Song of Ice and Fire? This is the history of House Royce. The Royces are powerful bannermen of House Arryn in the Vale. They rule over the castle of Runestone and own several ports, refusing to rely on the southern port city of Goldtown for trade. They claim descent from an ancient line of First Men kings and boast ancestral sets of bronze plate armour inscribed with runes, as well as the Valyrian steel sword Lamentation, until it went missing of course. Their sigil displays black iron studs on a bronze field, bordered with enigmatic runes. Their house words are just as mysterious. We remember. Royce is a first man name. For instance, several Red Kings of the North boasted the name Royce Bolton. House Royce must trace his ancestry back to someone called Royce who made a name for himself. The ancient house rose to become one of many warlords in the Vale, the Bronze Kings. They had a fierce rivalry with the self-proclaimed Kings of the True Men, the monarchs of House Shet of Gulltown. The earliest Royce we know of is King Yorick VI, who defeated his rival King Osgood Shet III several times, driving him back inside the Gulltown walls. So Osgood turned to diplomacy. You see, this was during the Andal invasion, the migration of Andals from Essos to Westeros. Petty kings had previously hired Andal warlords to fight their battles for them, which often resulted in betrayal. King Osgood proved more cunning in securing the allegiance of the Andal knight, Sir Gerald Grafton. They married each other's daughters in the customs of the Faith of the Seven, and King Osgood himself even converted to the faith. Thus they sailed north to defeat the Bronze King in battle, but it proved a Pyrrhic victory. King Osgood was slain, potentially by his ally Sir Gerald, who claimed his crown and declared himself King Gerald Grafton of Goldtown. Yorick VI's grandson eventually took the seat of Runestone as King Robar Royce II, as fearsome as he was cunning. Though the Andals had swept across the Vale, some First Men houses stood their ground: Belmore, Coldwater, Hunter, Redfort, and Upcliff. Robar Royce brought them together with bonds of gold, land, and blood, and, according to the legend, a test of skill, by besting Lord Hunter in an archery contest. The Bronze King became the High King of the Vale, the Fingers, and the Mountains of the Moon. Through warfare and guile, Robar II beat back the Andals. He slew King Kyle Corbray of the Fingers, defeated the Hammer of the Hills at Iron Oaks, and sent his sister to infiltrate Goldtown and convince the Shets to rise up against the Graftons. These defeats shook the Andal warlords out of their infighting, and they rallied behind a leader of their own, Sir Artis Arryn, the Falcon Knight. Thus heralded the Battle of the Seven Stars, which raged at the foot of the Giant's Lance. 6 times the Andals charged at the lines of the First Men, and 6 times they were repelled, until the laughing warrior Torgold the Grim led the 7th charge and broke through, slaying Lord Redfort. King Robar Royce launched a swift counterattack, cutting down Torgold and then Sir Artis Arryn himself. But the man was a decoy. The real Falcon Knight attacked from the rear and slew King Robar in single combat, although other tales claim it was Lord Ruthermont or Sir Lucian Templeton who did the deed, or even Sir Jaime Corbray, who reclaimed the ancestral Corbray sword, Lady Forlorn. Sir Artis Arryn was proclaimed King Artis I of Mountain and Vale, and the surviving Royces bent the knee, becoming Lords Bannermen. We do not hear of House Royce until the early stages of Targaryen rule. In 37 AC, Lord Ronald Arryn was murdered by his younger brother Jonos, who declared himself king. When Aenys I Targaryen failed to act decisively, Lord Allard Royce took matters into his own hands, gathering a host to siege the Eyrie. After Jonos himself was thrown out the moon door by a disloyal garrison, the Eyrie passed to Lord Hubert Arryn, who was married to a Royce. Lord Allard, of course, did not contest the new line of succession, and was rewarded for his loyalty with gold and titles. During the minority of Lady Jane Arryn, Yorbert Royce was named Lord Protector of the Vale. He attended the Great Council of 101 in Lady Arryn's stead, and presumably voted for Prince Viserys Targaryen, the husband of Aemma Arryn. Yorbert's heir was Lady Rhea Royce, who married Prince Daemon Targaryen in 97 AC. The marriage proved disastrous, with the mercurial Daemon pained by boredom and dislike for his wife, the Bronze Bitch. She, likewise, held little love for him. In 115, Lady Rhea Royce of Runestone fell from her horse and cracked her skull. She was bedridden for over a week, rising on the 9th day, only to die within the hour. Some suspected her accident may have been organised by her hateful husband, Daemon. After all, when he returned to the Vale, he unsuccessfully tried to claim the lands and incomes of House Royce. but Runestone instead passed to Rhea's nephew. During the Dance of the Dragons in 130, Sir Willem Royce was one of the famous Seven Who Rode, knights who sped through the chaos of King's Landing to rescue Joffrey Velaryon. Sir Willem was killed by a random commoner who stole Lamentation. The ancestral sword has not been found since. Lady Jane Arryn's death 4 years later triggered a bloody succession crisis. She had named her distant cousin Sir Joffrey Arryn as her chosen heir, instead of her first cousin Sir Arnold, who had previously tried to overthrow her. Yet various lords rallied behind Sir Arnold, including the bronze giant Lord Gunthor Royce, who harboured him at Runestone. Sir Corwyn Corbray, one of Aegon III's regents, confronted Lord Gunthor at Runestone, but was shot down by a crossbowman. War erupted in the Vale and raged until 136, when the bronze giant and other lords were forced to bend the knee to the new Lord Joffrey Arryn. Which brings us to the Royces of Runestone during the Song of Ice and Fire. Lord Yohn, known as Bronze Yohn for his armour, has had 4 children we know of: Sir Andar, Sir Robar, Sir Waymar, and Lady Ysilla. We also know of a Kyle Royce, who was executed by the Mad King, Pera Royce, the first wife of Walder Frey and mother of Stevron, Aemon, Aenys and Perianne, and Rhaella Royce, the wife of Sir Arwood Frey. Their relation to the main branch is currently unknown. Bronze Yohn is a grizzled old tourney knight. He was defeated by Rhaegar Targaryen at the tourney of Harrenhal, but himself defeated Thoros of Myr at the melee of Prince Joffrey's 12th name day. He is also a proud man, refusing Tywin Lannister's offer to marry Tyrion into House Royce, and personally escorting his son Sir Waymar to the wall. They were hosted at Winterfell along the way, and Sansa Stark was smitten with the young man. The men of the Night's Watch, however, are less enthralled by this new highborn recruit, and the entitled arrogance he brings with him. Along with his fellow rangers Will and Garrod, he's commanded to search for wildling raiders in the Haunted Forest. On the 9th day of ranging, they encounter the legendary Others, who surround the young knight. Though he stands his ground, they shatter his sword, cut him down, and resurrect him as a wight. Down south, Lord Yohn and his 2 older sons attend the Hand's tourney at King's Landing. Sir Andar is defeated by Jaime Lannister, while Sir Robar is defeated by Loras Tyrell. While Bronze Yohn and Andar return to the Vale, Robar decides to forge his own path by supporting King Renly Baratheon and joining his Rainbow Guard as Robar the Red. However, he fails to protect his king from Melisandre's shadow assassin, and is slain by the furious Loras Tyrell. Back in the Vale, Yohn insists that Lysa Arryn joins the war to support her nephew Robb Stark, but to no avail. After she's secretly murdered by Lord Peter Baelish, who becomes Lord Protector of the Vale, Yohn Royce gathers 5 other nobles to form the Lord's Declarant, dedicated to removing Littlefinger from power. They gather their forces to blockade the Gates of the Moon and force Littlefinger into surrender, and eventually a meeting is held. Lord Royce wants to kick the Lord Protector from power and take Robert Arryn as a ward in Runestone. After Selyn Corbray dares to draw steel against Baelish, an event Baelish himself cunningly orchestrated, the others are forced to concede and grant him 1 more year, much to Bronze Yohn's fury. Though Littlefinger has plans to sway the other Lords Declarant, he knows Yohn will remain fervently opposed to him. So what lies in the future for House Royce? Bronze Yohn is dedicated to deposing Littlefinger, and has recently married his daughter Ysilla to Lord Redfort's son, Sir Michael. With Lord Redfort being one of the Lords Declarant, this suggests some sort of alliance. Will the Royces and Redforts help Sansa in overthrowing Littlefinger, with Yohn becoming the new Lord Protector of the Vale, like his ancestor Yorbert? Will they help in the fight against the others, utilising their ancient runic armour? Or will they simply be another victim of Baelish's machinations? You can find the extended version of this video, where I discuss the cadet branch of House Royce, on my Patreon. To learn about former Kings of the North, check out my videos on House Umber and House Bolton. Like and subscribe to Fancy Haven if you want more content like this, and check out the Patreon for bonus content. Special thanks to my patrons Andre, Colshot, Devcole and Caden. What house should I cover next? Let me know, and thanks for watching.